All right, this is the first call of October. It's absolute insanity that we're like on the 10th day of October and so close to 2020. I like never thought that I would ever write that. It's just insane. With that being said, next week we're not going to have a team call because Melissa and Katrina and I are headed to leadership in Scottsdale. So if any of you guys want to host a call and like do a little power hour together or just team connection, definitely step on up. One item of business is I don't know, it's very hard because we have so many things coming up and I know it's hard to stay up to date, but the coach training has evolved. Like when I started as a coach, there was no coach training. And then they did all, this coach basics, which was like, I think like 90 days. And then it went to like your first 30, and it's just been crazy. And the world we live in and technology and everything that's thrown at us is so much different than it was 4 years ago or 8 years ago when I started. So now they've simplified it. Holly, I know you're not in my team page, but I will actually drop it in the Tenaciously Fierce group. But I put together, and it's not my genius, but I use a template from another coach. But I put together a very simple guide with 5 steps using the 5 videos. That is all that is provided now for coaches. And I feel like that is so much better because it's less overwhelming. So anyways, I'll drop that in the other team page. I have directed people on my team that like, hey, if you have signed up as a coach, looked at all the information, got overwhelmed, try this and, just go from there. So we're back to that. So this call today is going to be about Instagram, some tips, and also a little bit about MailChimp. Charlie and I have been working kind of closely on this about talking back and forth. We've been listening to some podcasts. He's doing a training. I finished a different training from a different person, and we're just kind of collaborating. We're not experts. We're all just kind of testing it out. But one of the things that I've made a huge mistake of was everything was like super like simple and easy. Like easy, when I say easy, like it was literally easy from 2012 as a coach until about 2014, 15. And then things started to change, and things changed within the organization with Beachbody On Demand, but things got a little bit crazy then. And so I made a mistake of like, oh, this sucks. And I was one of those people. And I even see people who are not running businesses off of social media of just like, oh my God, I'm so annoyed by the algorithm. And then I just sat on my hands and like, well, maybe it will go back to what it was. And it didn't. And I've just kind of wasted a lot of time trying to like reinvent the wheel or hope that it would go back. And if you have a problem with change, I highly recommend this book that my therapist told me about. It's called Who Moved My Cheese. It's like it's a very short book, and it is amazing. And it really seemed relevant when I finished it recently to what I'm talking about. So instead of just sitting around waiting, I kind of had this like wake up call, like stop wasting time being miserable in your hometown, stop waiting for stuff to come back on social media and learn. So me and Charlie have been doing this. It's like, let's jump into podcasts. Let's learn as much as we can. Let's share. And I've been trying to share a little bit. So if you've watched some of the videos that I've shared in Diesel Nation or my team page, some of this might be, duplication, but it never hurts to have reminders, especially if you're learning something new. So I fought Instagram for a long time. I was on Instagram since before I had Rebel, and it was really just something that I started because of the filters, and then everybody started talking about it. And I remember when I was in MySpace and everybody said, you got to go to Facebook. I got Facebook, didn't understand it, and then wrote it off. And then here I am, like I became the Facebook queen. Well, Facebook is becoming more and more obsolete because it's the 30 years and up people on there, and people are frankly disgusted by it because of all the stuff that has happened since this last election. And I have been doing a new fall expo with our Diesel Nation Olympics team, and it's all facilitated in a Facebook group. And I've heard so many people that I've connected with who were like, we don't have Facebook. So I've had to actually go in and email them this stuff. So anyways, if you want to not become a dinosaur, if you don't want to become extinct, if you want to stay relevant, Instagram is really where it's at. And one thing that I've heard over the years is if a social media platform is starting to like, decline, look and see what the kids are doing. Like Snapchat was where it was at. Like my kids still live on Instagram, and you just have to learn. So there are a few things of how to really do well on Instagram. And I know for me, I was just throwing stuff against the wall, hoping it would stick. And I really wasn't looking at the data to see, what was working, what wasn't working. And so I wanted to just give you some insights. There are big changes that are coming on Instagram. They're actually removing the likes and the views. So you can see it from your side, but you're not gonna, like, I could go to Charlie's post and he could be like, oh my God, my post got like 100 likes. I could go to that post and I won't be able to see it. And it's going to be rolling out sometime at the end of this year. The reason being is so many people do things for the likes, for the views, and they want people, all of these surveys that have been done have been based on the feedback of people on Facebook and Instagram. So you can be mad about the way the algorithm's changing, but it's really what Instagram and Facebook, they're not trying to punish people who are running a business. They're trying to make the experience better for the person on there. And their ultimate goal is to have you stay on their platform for as long as possible. And you have that ability to increase that by what you're sharing. So they're going to remove that because they don't want people getting caught up on the likes and stuff, because they want people to be focused on the content that you're sharing, the pictures, the post and the content that you're providing to people. So that is something that you're going to see. Don't panic. And really what I've learned from all of these webinars and podcasts I've listened to, that the likes and everything really aren't relevant. That's not a good metric to see if you're being successful on social media. And a lot of people, I mean, it's the same thing with a lot of followers. A lot of people want that 10K because you look like you're somebody and it looks cool. Like I know when I look at somebody, I'm like, oh wow, you have like, 11 point whatever K Instagram followers. But the thing is, that doesn't really mean anything. And honestly, I have come across a lot of coaches in the network who have paid for companies to like do the likes for them and get that. But the problem is, if you have like 10,000 followers and you're not actually interacting with them or engaging with them, that really screws you. So, I mean, and I do know that even if you have, 10,000 followers and you're trying to engage, it's hard. But just having that number out there to look good is not necessarily the right thing. It would be better, it's definitely the quality over quantity. So having 2,000 followers that you're connecting with, that are your ideal customer, that are engaging in your post, those are the things that are super important. So don't get caught up in the numbers game. And what they want you to do, again, is to stay on their platform. So it's really important that they're going to reward you for the engagement you get, and they're going to reward you for using their features. Because if there's new features and you're using it, then they're like, oh, this person is going to, share with other people these new features. And so in order to, get like the thumbs up from Instagram, what you want to do is be utilizing the IG Live, the IGTV, the carousel posts, and the carousel posts are when you can upload, I think, up to 10 pictures where you scroll. And I was like, why is that? Like, why do they want you to be on, why are carousel posts so big? And it's like, of course, because you're scroll. It's better than swipe. You're staying on the platform longer. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. Really, having the stories is another thing. So you're wanting to utilize all these things. And there was a podcast that I recently listened to, I know Charlie did as well, where they were talking about how like famous YouTubers that are, making a living off there, they're even saying, hey, if you're doing good on YouTube, don't have to ditch it. None of us are, but he wasn't saying that, but he was like, go to the IGTV because very little people know about it. And they're going to keep boosting you into people's newsfeed if you're the one doing it. And that totally makes sense. And so a lot of YouTubers are like, hey, we're taking advantage of this. And so I don't know if you've noticed when you're on Instagram, but I will see notifications of like, so-and-so went live, so-and-so, posted an IGTV video, and they're not even people that I'm connected with, but they're boosting those people there. And usually it's people that are, you know, relative to what your content is. But so using those things are going to be rewarded. And I know it can be really overwhelming. I myself feel sometimes overwhelmed of where to go. So it's just like, do your best. One thing that I wrote down is the goal would be, and it's not always going to happen. It didn't happen last week, but having 2 to 3 IGTVs or IG lives a week. And what I do is looking for content is I subscribe to a lot of like women's health or shape magazines. And so I look at the, you know, they have like letters to the editor or articles, and I use that of like things to post about. Because another thing is that they want you to have really good content. And so another thing is, what is getting rewarded now on Facebook and Instagram is they want you to have shareable content. So, you know, how-to videos, step-by-step, different things where you're teaching somebody something where they're going to save it or they're going to share it. That's really important. And so when you're sharing stuff, think about, am I adding value? Am I helping somebody? I mean, you're still going to have, I'm sure, those posts where it's like, I just, you know, worked out and it's just, or my kid did this. But really on a business side, you want to be intentional and look at like, what can I share that's going to help my ideal client? What am I going to share that's going to help somebody that is like I was before I started, you know, my journey or something. So that's really important. And your posts, you know, like I said, it's hard sometimes to differentiate like what you're sharing on a personal level, just because you're like a normal person versus business. But really, it's really good to look at your posts and say, am I adding value? Am I inspiring? Am I motivating? Am I educating? Am I entertaining? Are people getting to know me? And if you guys haven't purchased the book, Stories That Stick from Kendra Hall, definitely do, because she really talks about going in depth and telling the story. I recently have rolled out 3 parts of my story of the night I ran away in 1996. And it took me a long time to put together this story. And then once I did, I rolled it out over a couple days to kind of keep the suspense going. And then I was like, I said in my post, oh, you know, if you want to see it all together, I'll put it up on my blog soon. I meant I would put all 3 together on my blog. You're like, we can't, you know, wait to read it. And I was like, oh, like there was no more. And I was in my head thinking like, oh, there's nothing more to my story. And then I thought about it. I'm like, oh yeah, there is. And so many times we tell a story and we leave out big details. We end it where it's actually not ended. Or a lot of times we're not telling stories because it's commonplace to us. It's just our normal life and we don't think it's interesting. And something that one of my coaches had said, she was like, you know, I always think that I'm boring and I don't have anything to share. She's like, but then I go and I watch people who have stories like, you know, or lives like mine of like toddlers and doing laundry and, you know, on their stories. She was like, so I guess I am, you know, relevant. I'm like, yeah, you are. That's what people can connect with. So that is just kind of like some tips of the things to do and the things to share to really get more engagement. And it's really important too to really look at the data, like of like what's getting likes, because it's easy to be like, okay, I have a clear picture, I have it looks aesthetically pleasing, I'm entertaining, I'm doing this, and then thinking like you're checking off all the boxes. But you also have to look at like, what are your audience like? Because some things that my you know, ideal customer would really like, you might be like, oh, that's a great idea, she got really good, you know, engagement, I'm going to do the same thing. But that's not necessarily what your people will do. And so really go back and look. And that's what I have been trying to do, is like looking at the insights to see what's carrying, what my people like. And another important thing on the insights, and I'll show you in a minute on my phone, is to see like the times of when your people get on. So another thing that's really important is when you post something, what happens is the immediate engagement that you get right away is going to dictate how it does in the news feed. And I've noticed that recently, I'm like, oh, like shit, a post will pop up from that somebody posted on Sunday. And I'm like, what? And so what it is like, it had really good, carried a lot of weight in the beginning. And then it just keeps getting boosted because it's getting good engagement. It keeps rolling out. So here's the thing is, you might have like a banging post, like everything's right. And you might post it at the wrong time. Like you literally might post it at the wrong time where all your people are asleep or whatever, and it doesn't get good engagement. And so it's not that you suck, it's not that your content suck, but it could just be timing. So it's important to kind of look at the right time of when to post things so that it gets good engagement at that time. So anyways, okay, I'm hoping that this works. So just bear with me. Okay, I'm gonna do a screen share. Oops, hold on, sorry. Can y'all see this? Charlie, I can only see your face right now. Give me a thumbs up. Okay, you can see this. Okay, so some things that I learned that I think are pretty cool. And here's the thing is you don't have to have like those pictures of you like in a field of like sunflowers, and it doesn't have to be like you in front of a Lambo or like, you know, really like professional pictures, but you want it to be good quality. And really you want to stand out. Just like with anything, you want to, you know, really stand out. So these are some things that I've been doing that I feel like stand out compared to other people that I see. So if you're on Instagram, then you can, oh, there's me. Oh, hello. Okay, so, okay. If you open up your Insta stories and then you tap on the little gallery on the left-hand side, it will pop up all your pictures. So I just picked this one. So if you do the little squiggly mark up in the top right-hand side, you can choose a color. And if you press and hold down the color, you can change what color it is. Or you can put it up to whatever the picture is and match that color. And then if you hold it down, then it will totally fill your screen. So say you like this color of something, you can take a picture and then make that your background. Another thing is undo. I like to do sometimes when I'm doing like a story, I will have pictures of myself or I'm doing captions, and then I'll use the white and click on the second one over from the left, which is the highlighter. And you again tap and hold it, and then it just kind of puts like I guess it's an opaque. I think that's what the right word is. It's opaque over the picture, and so that's another way. Another thing is if you are using a lot of text on your picture, because of how fast the stories go, you might not know. I didn't know for a while, but if you touch and hold, if you touch and hold a story, it will keep it paused so that you could watch it or you know, read something, but not everybody knows that. So if you have something where there's a lot of text on your picture, one of the things you can do is, okay, so, sorry. I'll take a picture of the wall. Okay, so one thing you can do is type in like, hi, save. Oops, hi, how are you? Oh, did I save that one? Crap, I don't know. Okay, so I don't know if you saw what I did. I wrote a word, saved it with the little arrow that is on the left-hand side of the top of your screen, and then I did another word and another word, another word. And so once I've saved all of those, I'll go back into my phone. Oh, I didn't save the third one. And then I'll do the multiple images where it's like that. And then what it will do is tap through and keep adding the words. I know I left out the R image, but anyways, that's one way to make it where people can slowly read it. It is pretty time consuming. So I don't know if you want to choose that option. Another thing is you can hold down the thing and do a 15-second video, because that's the max amount you can do it. And then you can hit the little speaker up on the top right, the third one over, and it turns the sound off. And then you can do what I showed you of like picking a color and making the screen a solid background color. So nobody even knows you've done a video. And the same thing, you can just type whatever. And then when somebody clicks on that, it's going to stay there for as long as the video is, whether you held it down for 5 seconds, 10, or the max 15. That's another way for for people to be able to read what you write on there. Another cool thing that I recently learned, which I'm like, this is super awesome, is, so hold on. If you upload a picture, okay, like this, when you upload that one, I've actually never liked the way that looks because of the size of the picture. The top and the bottom are like blending in to the pictures to the color of the color scheme of the pictures. I never liked the way that looked. So when I found this out, I was super excited. So you just make it whatever color background you want. And then I'm sorry if you have an Android, and because Charlie, I'm pretty sure that your phone doesn't do cool shit like this. But if you are somebody like me who has an iPhone, you can do it. So you can go in and open up your photos. And then if you tap the little arrow button on the bottom left-hand side, you can hit copy photo. And then when you open this up, boom, you add it there. And then you can do another one and add it there and whatever. So like that's like a super cool thing of you can make it whatever size. It doesn't look all wonky. So like I thought that was cool. Another thing that I like to do sometimes is if you make it the widest size, I guess, and then you go to highlighter and you pick a color, then you can, this is obviously not really great, but you can do like a frame with different colors. So that's like something that I think is cool. Another thing that I've done, this doesn't work if you like copy a picture, but say you were just putting like this one in that's small, you could squeeze it to make it smaller or bigger. And then I sometimes like to do the little like that. I mean, it's not really perfect right now, but like the old time, like photo albums or scrapbooks, I've done that. That I think is all I can think of right now. Another thing is when you're doing IG, hold on, I'll show you. Whenever you're doing IGTV, Chalene suggests that you go to focus. Ooh, where did it go? Did they take focus away? Well, maybe they took it away. Anyways, you use focus where it focuses on your face, and then you take a picture, because when you upload a video to IGTV, the way Instagram is, like how Instagram works size-wise, you have to be careful. And you can look at my IGTV because there's ones that I screwed up, but you want to look where you take a picture where like there's space above your head and body, and then you put the like caption of like 5 steps to being to getting started as a coach, and that is the caption that you put like in a certain area of the picture, and you upload that as the video cover. So with IGTV, you can upload up to a 10-minute video. It is suggested that you keep it around 3 to 4 to 5 minutes at the most. And I'll tell you that like recently, like I am just been so busy doing stuff. The last thing I want to do is watch a long video. Like anybody who has ever watched my long video, I'm like, God, I'm sorry. Because I'm just like, get to the point. And so if you can try to keep it to pretty short, that is really important. And what is really awesome about IGTV is when you record a video and then you upload it, then a preview automatically goes into your I guess onto your page. And so then I love what I heard from Shalene Johnson's son. He was like, use like right at like the 1 minute mark, because on your profile, you can only have a minute long video, but then you can click on it to take you to the full video. So he was saying is like, go in and leave this like cliffhanger at like 58 seconds. So then people are like, wait, what? What are they gonna say? And then they click on it and go to your IGTV, and then you keep them on there. And then Instagram's like, hey ho, I like you because you kept your people on here. So that's like a super important thing to know. Another thing that I've learned about IG Live or even Facebook Live, and I've been guilty of this, is like, hey guys, I'll give it a few minutes for people to jump on, and then you're sitting there and it's like super awkward for you. And then I know that like I rarely make it on from like the second of when people start talking. And then I've sat there and I've literally like exited out of it, because I'm like, I don't want you to sit there and be like, if you're on and you can hear me, give me hearts. Like, that's just stupid. Like, that's just stupid. So it's best to just get on with it. And one thing that Trey talked about was, I think it was Trey, I don't know. Somebody was like, when you're on there, be like, hey, how are you? You know, this is Mindy Horde. I'm going to talk to you today about la 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 la. So it's really important that you act like you're talking to one person. That way it feels personal, you know, to that person that's watching, not just, hey everybody, and that you introduce who you are, especially like on IG Live, because now it's getting pushed into other people's newsfeed and they don't know who you are. And if you tell them this is what I'm talking about, then they can decide if like, oh, okay. And another thing that's been suggested is, you know, stay on till the end, because at the end, I'm going to give you like some juicy thing, or I'll have an offer that you can't resist. And so that keeps them wanting to stay on there, because it's like the FOMO. And again, Instagram's gonna be like, hey, you're pretty smart. You got your people staying on to listen to us. So that's really important when you're doing that. And again, I know it's really hard to remember all this, because I know that I've learned this and then I went and done it. And I'm like, oh my God, Mindy, what were you doing? So it's just gonna take practice learning how to like do things with the way they are now. Another thing was, on Facebook, don't boost posts. That's one thing that I learned, is like, I was just like going through the motions of like, let's try this and see if it works. And so if you have a business page on Facebook and you are boosting posts, the problem is it doesn't get boosted to people who are like your people, or your like targeted people, like you could do if you were doing an actual ad. It goes to just anybody who's on. So you could just boost a post and it gets just sent out to anybody who's online then, and you might get some likes from that, but odds are they might not fall into your ideal customer. And again, having high numbers and little engagement actually hurts you. I was going to show you one last thing on here. So, okay. If you are on Instagram, what you can do is click on the little lines on the right-hand side and then click on Insights. And so this right here tells you how much and how many impressions it made. And so that means like how many people clicked on it, interacted. And so what I think is pretty cool is like the one that shows right under post that says 1,129. If you read it, that is the part 2 of the story of the night I ran away. And so you can see that the numbers are a lot higher than the other posts. And that's because I was telling a story. And that was because it was part 2 to, a story that I'd been telling over the course of 3 days. So as you can see, that, gives you a good, way to look and gauge of like how it's doing. And this is proof right here, the stories stick, and that's where it's at. So that's the way to do it. It will also show up on for your stories if you scroll down. So you don't always have to go back to your stories and hit that little button on the left to see how many people viewed it. You can go right here and see it. Activity, this is where you can see how many people have interacted because of your posts. See, like I'm down 76 from last week, and that's because I haven't been on consistently because I've been crazy busy. So I can look at what I'm doing and see like, okay, that's why. It's not that I suck. I just know that I haven't been on. So my interaction's lower. And then it tells you how many accounts were reached. And that's another great way to see how you're doing. And then audience. Gives you an idea, and it tells you your range. And I obviously attract people who are around like the 5 years younger, 5 years older. And then it tells you right here what I was saying earlier is you want to make sure that you're posting at the time that your followers are typically online, so that when you have good content out there, they're actually interacting right away. That way that notifies Instagram and Facebook that, hey, this is a good post. Let's keep it rolling out into other people's news feeds. So that's that. I was going to talk about MailChimp, but then I realized that that's just going to be really long. And like I just said, I get tired of hearing people talk for a really long time. So I'm tired of hearing myself talk. So I don't know exactly what the lineup is, but just a reminder, we're not going to have a team call next week, but that'd be so great. Like, I think that Katrina and Melissa and I would love if we were like, oh, look at the team. They're like still hooking up and talking, even though we're not there. So anyways, feel free to do that. I don't really know if the lineup is for the rest of the month, but if Melissa and Katrina don't have speakers, I would be happy to come on and talk about MailChimp, because that's been like this huge lifesaver to me about automating stuff recently. And Charlie's been learning stuff. So at the end of the month, or the first call of next month, it's mine. He'll know a lot more too, and so we can share it with you. But that's it. That's all I have to say. Does anybody have any questions, comments, concerns? Melissa's on, I see. I don't know if she has anything to tell people that I didn't tell. Charlie, do you have anything to say about the stuff you've learned? Or do you want to wait? Okay. We are 10 days in, or 9 days into the month. Oh, yeah, I said 10th earlier. It's 9. 9 days into the month. Hope you guys are kicking ass with your Diesel Nation Olympics team. You're going to be excited to see all the stuff that we're doing at Leadership next week. And we hope you're there with us next year. That's it. Love you guys. I'm going to eat dinner. Have a good evening.